the talent this kid has. This might be a bold statement, but right now I believe he's the best player in football, period, whether it's the NFL or college. He's only 20 years old. When this guy reaches his prime, say 25, 26, I think we're going to be talking about him in the same sentence with Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White. I would like your opinion on Clowney, and if you think he has the potential to get into that atmosphere with the best of all time defensively.
Well, Mike, I will start out by saying this: he is truly something special. And folks, I'm not just saying this because he's obviously at my old school. If you have not had a chance to watch this kid play, he totally dominates games. And I mean, when I say totally dominates, and it's so much more than just this play he made last year in the bowl game where he practically tackled the running back for the Michigan Wolverines in the backfield, knocked the guy's helmet off, and made him fumble. It's so much more. Mike, just because Steve and I both have played in the league, I want to be careful. I can't go out and say that he will be one of the best. I think he without a shadow of a doubt has a potential upside. I wasn't fortunate enough to have to go against a Lawrence Taylor, but Steve can definitely attest. We faced Bruce Smith every day in practice, and I obviously played against Reggie White. If I had to compare Bruce Smith and Reggie White, and then I would say Clowney, he's definitely of the same build, and he's definitely of the same mold. Reggie White had unbelievable strength. Like, seriously, bro, he hip-tossed me, and I was 335 pounds, and he did it like I was a rag doll. Bruce Smith, personally, to this day, by far the best defensive lineman I've ever played against, played with, played for, whatever, however. Bruce had this thing to where not only was he just that good, but he literally made everybody around him that much better. So you could take an average guy, and if you plugged him in, no offense to guys like a Phil Hansen or a Bryce Pop. You take Phil Hansen or Bryce Pop and you put them on anybody else's team, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I can't say they would be Pro Bowl caliber players year in, year out. But you take them and you put them on a team with Bruce, dude, they automatically were almost, in the case of Bryce, which was a hell of a player, he was guaranteed to get an extra 5 sacks just because teams had to game plan towards Bruce. Now, Javion Clowney, without a shadow of a doubt, he is running through the Southeastern Conference. I would like to think, because I am biased here, I think that the best athletes and the best players so far come out of the Southeastern Conference, which obviously says that he should be great, or at least good. Okay?
As a sophomore last year, 13 sacks, 23 and a half tackles for losses as a 20-year-old. Like you said, he's in the best conference in the nation, and I don't buy into hype. Everybody
it's not
comes
hype.
out.
No,
who's the
trust
best?
me. This is not hype. I'm actually from Greenville, which is about 45 minutes from his hometown. Anyone that can tell you anything about him, this kid has been this good since he was 10. Seriously. He's been that big since he was probably 12. So what I'm trying to basically say is what you have now is a man amongst boys. And when he gets in, hear me good now. When he gets into the National Football League, and he has to go say one-on-one, against like a Barrett like Robbins or some of these big bulky tackles. I'm not going to say he won't still dominate, but he's going to have to learn how to truly settle down and just play, I guess, within his game. But I'm not taking anything from him. He's that good. He's all of the hype. So quite naturally, he's been able to dominate all through high school, all through college now, at some point he's just basically going to be going against the same guys he's actually facing now. What I'm telling you is that I think there will be a learning curve. His first year in the league might not be as exciting as his first 2 years in college have been. At some point, yes, make no doubt about it. I think he should be honored just to even have his name mentioned with Lawrence Taylor, Bruce Smith, Reggie White. But, let's hold our horses.
Let me ask you this, Corey. If you have the first pick in the NFL draft and you need a quarterback and you need a defensive end, are you taking Johnny Football or are you taking Clowney with that first pick?
No, Clowney. No. I can tell you right now, if I had the first pick in the draft, I don't care if I needed a quarterback. If someone offered me 10 picks for this guy, he's that special. He's one of those guys that comes along every blue moon, and he's just that good. So there's no way you cannot take him. No way. Listen, there have been rumors that lately people saying that he should sit out this college season so he doesn't get hurt. That's crazy. Come on. Yeah, he's good. He's taken out his actual insurance policy, but he still has to play the game. And I'm not, by no means, Mark. I'm not taking anything from him because yes, he is that good. But I would not go so far as to start saying that he's Reggie White, Bruce Smith, Lawrence Taylor yet, because as we know, we've seen a lot of hype, and then guys get there, and for whatever reason they can't sustain the hype. But yes, he should be just as good.
Okay, and my final question here for you, Corey. I'm up here in Pennsylvania, Penn State country, and within the last, say 10 years or so, the dominance of the SEC is kind of unprecedented. Can you kind of give me an idea from, the early 90s where you had, it seemed like college football was balanced, you had the SEC, Pac-10, Big Ten, what in the last 7 to 10 years has changed to make the SEC so dominant?
Well, and Steve, feel free to also join in here. What I would tell you is this, because I played in the Southeastern Conference. We used to hear bigger, faster, stronger, bigger, faster, stronger. But I'm telling you right now, man, when I got in the Southeastern Conference, and I remember going to Alabama the first time, the very first game, guess what? We had 2 bookend offensive tackles, myself, Ernest Dye, and we played pretty damn good. We both ended up playing in the league. But guess what? Alabama starting 5 on that entire defensive line. They all were either first-round picks or either third-round picks, and their bench players could come right off and fill in the gap, and they never missed a beat. So what I've seen over the last 10 years is that the best kids throughout the entire country have pretty much said, okay, you know what? If that's where the best players play, then that's where I'm going to go. And it's sort of like this old tagline we used to always hear about Florida State, Clemson teams. They don't rebuild, they just reload. Well, unfortunately, Southeastern Conference team, even the worst teams, it's not even about rebuilding, reloading. They just have that much depth. Stanford, Steve, you can talk about this. Stanford team, without a shadow of a doubt, could play with any Southeastern Conference team on any given Saturday. I know this. But when you go past their starters, there's a major drop-off there. Right. So when you look at these schemes and these teams like for instance, Oregon, where they're constantly run and gun, fun and gun, you've got to be able to get subs in. You got to be able to get other outside backers, other defensive linemen in that can actually cover. If they can't cover and they're tired and they're sucking, quote unquote, wind, guess what? That's that what I call equalizer. That's that balance. So that's why you can take a team like Texas A&M and Johnny Football that essentially came into the Southeastern Conference for the first time last year and shocked the entire conference and probably the world. Now, what I would tell you is this. Southeastern Conference coordinators, defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, head coaches are pretty smart. They will have something to basically go in and say, all right, we see what kind of system Texas A&M and Johnny Football and Kevin has been running there. So I believe Texas A&M, while yes, they will still be good, I don't think you're going to see Texas A&M putting up 50 points again like they were last season. Hoyam, talk to me, man.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, you know, I love this question because my experience as a Pac-10 player in the early 90s was, you know, University of Washington was right up there in the hunt for the national championship. And they were the team to beat in the conference. Playing at Stanford, they were the only Pac-10 team that we never beat the entire time I was there, which, you know, it was just immensely frustrating. Seattle was a tough place to play. The whole city supported their Huskies. And this was back in the Don James era. Washington was one of the few, if not the only teams in the Pac-10 at that time that had the kind of depth that you're talking about, Corey, where
right.
They would jump up on a team like Stanford, and even when we were good, right? The year that we were 10-2, they jumped up on us at Seattle, and it was like, you know, 35-0 or something like that. And they bring in their second team defense, and these guys were fresh. We'd already played, you know, a full football game. These guys are fresh, and they were. It felt like they were better than the first team guys. It was crazy, and it was like, wow. So this is big time college football when you've got your second team guys that are as good as their first team guys, and there was like no drop off. And at most schools in the Pac-10 at that time, Corey, there was a significant drop off between your first team and your second team. Now,
right.
In my opinion, what happened was at that time each conference was more or less trying to play football the way they wanted to play football. The schools, you know, had their philosophies, and the conference was kind of guiding that. The athletic director at Stanford at that time was Ted Leland, and in the late 90s, I think, Ted made the statement that, you know, Stanford was not going to participate in what he called the arms race of college football. Alabama at this time and the SEC, they became the poster children for the arms race of college football. They started paying coaches and firing coaches. They had that treadmill of coaches.
Right.
Remember
right.
Mike Price from Washington State, and they had
I could go on and on and on. People forget, Steve, that before Saban, Alabama went through 8 coaches.
Exactly.
And some of them they would actually fire. In fact, to this day, Mike, just so you know this, to this day, and you can look this up, Bill Curry came from Georgia Tech, goes to Alabama. He wins 10 games, and they fired him because he lost to Auburn.
Well, Gene Stallings won a national championship, and then they let him go.
So this is the point I'm trying to make, though. When we say the Southeastern Conference and the hype, a part of this hype is the fan base. And I'm telling you, man, you might think I'm crazy, and I played in a bunch of stadiums, but this Alabama-Auburn thing is borderline sickening. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's borderline absolutely crazy because I've never seen anything like it. There are no – think about this. There are no pro football teams close other than the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, I guess, and maybe Jacksonville Jaguars. So there are no pro football teams even in that area, all right, near there, okay? And these folks eat, sleep, and live not just Alabama football, but Southeastern Conference football. And that's
right.
All they live for. As soon as the season ends, bro, I'm telling you, they don't take a week off. They don't take 2 months off. As soon as the season ends, they're already talking about next year. And, you know, for most of us, most normal football fans, we're like, okay, you know what? Great, our team made it to a bowl game. You know, let's enjoy this. We're gonna breathe at least for a month, okay? You know, let the old guys get out and get drafted. Dude, they don't. So what you essentially have now is this machine, if you will. And now hear me, we got to give Saban his due. As much as people talk about